Call the meeting to order at 5:30. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from, December 11th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on those? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from December 11th, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I didn't have to vote, so I will vote in the affirmative.
You will vote in the affirmative, so that does pass.
There's only three of us, so I don't have to. Oh.
You can vote on
I know I
something. You
can, but it's hard. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on December 13th, 2018.
Or you can put that one off.
So
to the
moved.
next meeting.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from November 13th, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I'll vote in the affirmative.
Okay.
Just get it done.
That meeting was fairly straightforward, and I wasn't here either. But I think you can look at the minutes and vote if Steve, the vice chair, says that it reflects what happened. It doesn't say anything, but if it reflects what happens, then I think that's fine. I don't think there's any controversy in your vote.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, we're not really ready to do the,
I'd bypass the warrants, go right to correspondence or reports or something. Well,
Can't really go to reports because he's busy doing that, so we can,
Yep, I go to, skip the warrants, skip reports, go to correspondence.
okay, so let's go ahead and take the agenda out of order and move down to correspondence. We've gotten, a letter of resignation from the highway department. It says, Dear Select Board, on 11/5/2018, I informed Select Board member, Public Works Supervisor Steve Frisk of my intention to vacate my position as a road crew member by the end of 2018. I now submit my formal resignation as a full-time employee to be effective 12/21/2018. I would like to thank the town for the past 6 years of employment. As I have informed Steve Frisk, I will assist the town of Townshend in its transition to an entirely new road crew and provide any information and advice I can. I will also be willing to work on the crew as an emergency backup and fill in if needed unless otherwise committed. I hope that the board recognizes that my prior co-workers and I, being a three-man crew, were committed to providing the town's citizens with good and safe road conditions. This was accomplished despite a shrinking budget, poor support, regular criticism, shrinking benefits, lack of praise, and few pay increases from the select board. The board has now decided to add a fourth member to the crew, a decision I feel is overdue, that and an increase in wages should help sustain morale. Blah, blah, blah. Cutting benefits is no way to attract or retain employees. I hope that moving forward, the board will communicate with these employees in a more considerate manner. Sincerely, Robert F. McCord. Alrighty, and the other piece.
You need a motion.
I do not.
You don't? Okay.
No, an employee resignation, the only time you need a motion to accept.
Elected official. Yeah, okay.
Okay, the other thing that we have received is the CLA and COD for the next fiscal year that we're going to be working on the budget for. Our CLA dropped, I believe, from 106 to 99.62%, which means that there will no longer be the offset with the tax rate. So your total value is going to pretty much be what is, there won't be a factor. And then on the COD, that's at 14, which
I think it was at 18 or 19, that's dropped as well. Our,
COD has?
I think it has also dropped.
Because 20 is where it's an automatic reappraisal.
Well, I'll look them both up, this just came Monday. So, or yesterday, I can't remember. I'll look them both up and see where we were last year. I know the CLA has dropped substantially.
Okay, so then let's move back up to the warrants. You want to read them to
Sure.
me, Bill, please?
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1, payroll in the amount of $12,249.44.
No, we have an issue.
176.35?
It's on the back.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, it's the same number. 12,249.14.
Did I get it wrong?
No, somebody-
No, he's got that. Yeah, he's got a copy as well. Did I tell you that
Yeah,
wrong? Yeah, okay, I may have.
so it's 12,249.44.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $12,249.44.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $12,249.44 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
I move to pay payroll warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,811.94.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll withholding tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $4,811.94 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Move to pay general warrant number 3 in the amount of $15,209.25.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is insurances,
This is,
Yeah, this is the VLCT.
LCT.
the only question I
It's
have
the $100,
distributions.
yeah,
is, well, the distribution, but also the $100 fee for.
for the, for the VLCT Employment Resource and Benefits Trust.
You know,
But it's
Unemployment
it's working.
insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance.
it's this $100,
Yeah.
the annual management fee. I don't remember ever seeing that before.
Yeah. Should we see if we can get some more information from them?
Well, that's early at this point in time. I would like to find out what this management fee is. Is it gonna show up quarterly? Is it gonna, it says annual.
It says
but-
it says quarterly
Yeah,
invoice,
but
It
this
is
says
quarterly.
annual.
but it's the quarterly contribution to the annual management fee.
Maybe.
So
So it'd be $400 a year. I'd like
Is that
to,
already, that's not already paid, is it?
I don't think so.
Can you check on the warrant there, just under VLCT, be at the bottom of the warrant, first page?
Well, she hasn't filled in the blank.
Yeah, okay, then, fine. Okay.
So yeah, at this point in time, that hadn't been, I'd like to know if it was it's gonna be $100 per quarter.
That's how I read it.
So that wasn't when I was reading, it's an annual.
State.
Okay, any further, that's not really the state. Any further discussion on that warrant?
No.
No.
All right, all those in favor of approving general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $15,209.25 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion fails.
Move to pay general warrant number 4, the general fund, in the amount of $6,188.89.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $6,188.89 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Move to pay highway warrant number 5 in the amount of $12,779.08.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 5 in the amount of $12,779.08 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Move to pay check warrant number 6 out of the equipment fund, the amount of $5,092.65.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant number 6 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $5,092.65 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Move to pay check warrant number 7 out of the general fund in the amount of $1,379.47.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I just have a question about the credit card bill and the fact that we purchased pre-stamped prepaid envelopes for the delinquent tax collector that appear to exceed her budgetary line.
Yeah, the amount charged was $308.50.
And according to the budget, there was only $300 in the budget. I'd like to figure out, that means there will be no ink supplies, paper supplies, or anything else this year. So I'm just kind of curious why why we bought so many pre-stamped, pre-done envelopes for the delinquent tax collector. That's just my 2 cents worth, but.
Craig, could you get in touch with Becky and?
Well, I'll talk to Anita and find out what's going on.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how many, whether that's 500 envelopes or not. It's probably
Yeah,
close
could
to
be.
500 to a box.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know why she would need that, I guess, I don't know. Anyway, I don't remember doing that before, but maybe
Well,
we did.
Last year, I think she only spent 150.
Yeah,
It's in the- I've got
$119.
it in the budget sheet.
But
Maybe it's 3 years worth?
That could be.
Right.
But there again, I'd like to know because that's her entire budget
Right.
for supplies at this point in time. So yeah, I'd like to find that out. So
But she's elected annually, you can't build up a 3-year supply.
but just on the outside time, that is already paid, so we can't do anything about it at this point in
Right.
time.
Except.
But I
that
would
it's-
like to get the information if we could as
Okay.
to
Okay.
what the plan was. So hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 7 in the amount of $1,379.47 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Move to pay check warrant number 8 out of the highway fund in the amount of $10.59.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 8 in the amount of $10.59 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Move to pay check warrant number 9 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $105.03.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying the equipment fund warrant number 9 in the amount of $105.03 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. All right. So, moving on, we move down to the highway reports, so.
We did a lot of culvert and ditch cleaning prior to last Friday's storm. We did as much as we could in the time that we had. It gave us firsthand look at the condition of the culverts on some of our low-lying and hill roads. During Friday's storm, we did lose roads on Simpson Brook, Jordan Hill, and Hazel Hill. We did have to do some emergency repairs on Saturday so people could get in and out, and then we went back on Monday and repaired Hazel Hill. Jordan Hill was done on Saturday, a temporary repair so one resident could get in and out. And today, we didn't know it until we went to clean culverts on Simpson Brook today, that a 200-yard stretch of Simpson Brook was washed out, and nobody had reported that. So we did those repairs after lunch today. We continued cleaning culverts on Plum Road and Taft earlier this week, and again, we're finding steel culverts with rotted bottoms. The ditches and the entrances have not been cleaned out. That's why we're able to dig, because there's so many leaves in the ditches, there's no frost in the ground. So we're able to clean them. But we're gonna have a lengthy list of culverts that we're gonna wanna replace this summer. I did call Foster's today to get an update on the Dodge truck. It is en route to Foster's, it's not received yet. Fairfield has been in contact with Foster's, they know the truck will be there in January. Our work is scheduled to be done in January, so hopefully end of the month we'll have that truck.
Good.
Any
And the old one we're trading
Yes,
for that, right? Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? Other discussion?
One final comment, as I've driven these roads for 34 years, now I'm walking these roads. I'm just shocked at the amount of trash that people throw out of their vehicles driving our roads. It's really very disappointing. The amount of beer cans and soda cans and water bottles that we're picking up in these ditches, it's really unfortunate.
All right. Anything else then?
No.
Alrighty. Town clerk, I didn't see
see
a
it.
We didn't have one.
given the holidays,
No,
it's
not
not
this
surprising. And then the month isn't done yet, so town treasurer,
In your sweep account, you have $972,137.63. your checking account, you have $29,710.02.
Any discussion?
No.
Any other questions? Then moving on to old business, the personnel policy. Just missed me somewhere. I believe this is the policy that we asked to revisit after some corrections at the last meeting.
Yep.
And
And there was discussion among members between meetings, I mean, not collectively, but individually, about the town meeting day, which was always the controversial holiday to consider. Just to reintroduce that into the conversation, but the changes were made
where's the list?
at the last meeting that you wanted made, and I typed it up. So you should have a new policy with your name on it, or your initials at the top, and that reflects the changes at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And then the president's here. Three there. Four.
I mean, I would go on record and say that I've always been a supporter of keeping town meeting days a paid holiday so that people can go to their individual town meetings.
And that's fine. Would you like to
Yeah.
make a motion to?
Well, I can't vote.
Stretch
Sure
you
can.
I
can.
can't vote.
Sure you can. I mean, legally you can, politically may not, but legally you can.
Well, but you know, the one thing, again, the one thing that's gonna ask, you know, because they're not salaried, the only hourly employees that are full-time are just the highway department. Okay, so it only impacts them. It wouldn't impact the town clerk or Craig because they're salaried.
Right.
And it wouldn't involve the listers or any of the other hourly employees because
Because
they're
they're
not
elected.
full-time. They're not full-time either.
Right. Oh, right.
Okay, so,
Or Elaine, because she's not full-time.
right. So, I mean, is that the will, is to go ahead and add back in, bring the paid holidays to New Year's, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and
And
Town Meeting Day.
I would move that.
Okay, is there a second? You can second it.
Second.
You can vote it,
Okay.
okay. All right, so.
Move to reinstate
Town
Town
meeting
Meeting
day.
Day.
town meeting day as a holiday.
As a paid holiday.
Yeah.
The, I was gonna say something, I don't remember what it was.
You seconding that, Calvin?
No,
I
Steve
did.
did.
Steve did?
I was gonna say something. Oh, and there again, has there been any discussion or has there been any feedback on the compensation for, particularly for Christmas and Thanksgiving? Was that?
No,
That wasn't an issue.
it was holidays.
Numbers.
Correct.
Okay, is there gonna be any problem with then those 7?
I can't remember which ones were removed.
Well, you had President's Day, you had
Oh, President's Day, Columbus Day.
Martin Luther King's birthday.
Veterans Day.
Anything else?
What's your sense?
Veterans Day would be the only one that I would be in favor of, in addition to town meeting day.
I would agree with that.
Veterans Day?
Yeah.
Okay. Now are we talking about the actual holiday or the
The Monday holiday.
Monday holiday? Because we
Yeah.
get into that as well.
Is it, this year, I think it fell on a Thursday?
I don't
Not sure.
remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it fell on a Thursday this year.
I mean, we're gonna have to, which of the two is it? The actual holiday or is it the Monday holiday? I'm not, Veterans Day is a Monday holiday. It's always the day.
Is it the also day?
Yeah, it's gotta
Is
be.
it today?
How's it defined?
It's a Friday on this one.
Also, they're doing it year by year by
This is a
year.
Tuesday on this one, so they're doing the 11th.
So they're doing
Right,
it, like,
okay.
so it'll.
So
So
day
if it falls
of.
on the
November
weekend,
11th.
then,
So it's November 11th. isn't it?
yep.
Okay. It'll be officially the November 11th. So those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8?
Yep.
6, 8.
Good.
Good?
Do you want to modify your motion to include?
I would amend my motion to also include Veterans
Reinstate town
Day
meeting day and Veterans Day.
and Veterans Day,
11th.
November 11th.
Okay, so I'll say town meeting day, which is the first Tuesday in March, and
Right.
Veterans Day, which is November 11th.
Second.
Okay, so let's just take care of the leaves right now then. So all those in favor of making that correction to the holiday leave schedule signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. So that takes care of the holiday leave section.
Yep.
The one thing that where we got into some discussion was with the sick leave.
Mhm.
And that got broken out.
Yes, yep.
It's now section 10. But did it get changed up here in process? So it was
I
like,
do believe.
Yeah, it
Go
did.
back to an old one, I think.
I have the previous one here.
well, it talks about up higher, it talks about scheduled PTO and unscheduled PTO. And unscheduled PTO is essentially sick leave. But it really doesn't change what was added with the
Well-
sick leave.
Right, it just breaks them out.
Right,
Sick leave is defined as for use for an illness or injury that prevents the employee from performing their duties, whereas unscheduled paid time off might be a family crisis
or how, okay.
or
All right, so.
Something
that's-
other than
that was
injury or
one of the-
sickness.
One of the changes that was made was the sick leave addition, and there was another change, do you remember?
Was it the definition of family for bereavement?
It
I
was.
feel like we talked about that, right?
It was changed to 3 days per year.
Yeah, right.
You know, good.
Yeah.
Of the employees immediate.
Immediate family.
Of the immediate family.
Yeah, I think immediate wasn't in there.
Right, I think you're
The
right.
last one. Yeah, that was the change.
Because I know nothing, I don't believe anything in the back changed.
Nothing beyond there, and I changed 1 or 2 typos, but mostly those are the germane parts of the last meeting. And
Still good.
Packets there still, right?
That's good.
It's coming along. I'm not ready to thumb wrestle with you yet.
So if there's
I
no,
might have a chance now.
if there's no other changes, then do you want to vote on the motion to adopt it as written with the, or as corrected with these changes?
I would move to adopt the personnel policy as corrected.
All right, so
Just
so
to
you
get
made
to
it
we
your
added
second?
Second.
Veterans Day and
town
town
meeting.
meeting day back in. As paid holidays.
Is there any further discussion then? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the personnel policy as amended or corrected, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Yes, yes.
All right, we will add those in there, and I'll get it up on the board.
And this does have, or had, I don't know if it still does or not. Yeah, at the back, a signatory page. So we're going to want to get copies along with the rest of it
Yep.
out
Yep.
to everybody. No, I'm not sure where to put that. Okay, so, then to the town hall use policy, there was a revision made
Yes.
to that.
So I had met last Thursday with Wade, whose last name escapes me.
Missouri.
Missouri. From VLCT, primarily about the CDL requirements for drivers, but he also works very closely with Passive and the insurance riders and so forth. And in talking to him, I went back through the town hall use policy and made one addendum to the insurance requirement. Let me just find it. That's
Second page.
yeah, so it's second page, insurance and indemnification. What I added in is in bold italics. The gist of it is the VLCT has a program they call TULIP, which is an acronym, wherein people can buy event insurance for town venues at a reduced rate. I included the link in here and in the phone number. I think we might want to move that to the application page, because I didn't have the application page electronically. But I also added this requirement can be waived at the discretion of the board. And I specifically made it the board and not board or designee, so that we can avoid the concern of favoritism that I think we all shared around that, so that we would have to decide as a board if we wanted to waive the fee.
You had mentioned to
The
me.
fee or the
The
requirement?
the insurance requirement.
You had mentioned to me in discussion about this, because I didn't look up the TULIP program yet, but you had mentioned that if somebody wanted to get insurance for the common or get insurance for here, they could call VLCT, and you said it was relatively affordable.
It's relatively inexpensive. I did as a tester, I put in 25 people for a birthday party, no alcohol in the town hall. I think it was $50 to get the insurance rider. But again, if we have 10 people that want to have a bridge tournament and not serve alcohol, seems pretty low risk, we might want to waive the insurance for that.
Depends on who the town.
To be exact. But I think that gives us the option to waive it, which will probably not be the norm, it'll probably be the exception. But it also, we can give people a resource to find the insurance. I also mentioned that it is available from most homeowners policies. You can find it online at most local and major insurance providers.
So basically,
Are we rolling in the middle of the, when did this meeting start?
5 o'clock,
6:15.
no,
Says 6:15.
no, it's
No,
1
I added it up 5 on
o'clock.
my phone.
5?
Then,
Okay. Well, socially appropriately. Quite tardy, apologies.
So basically, then you're talking about taking this italic statement. then-
except for the last statement.
Except for the last, this requirement, and moving that on to the rental agreement then.
Yes. Yeah, I think it just makes more sense to, if we require the insurance, we can put on the agreement, give people some information about how to go about getting it if they do need to get it.
Town hall policy, do you have a copy, page 2?
Yeah.
Bottom of page 2. Says draft on it there.
And I just think that it leaves us the ability to not require someone who wants to have a 4-year-old's birthday party for 10 people.
That gets things.
So is there any further discussion What would you like to do with that? Would you like to move it? What would you like to do with it?
It's not written in here anywhere where it states that we have the right to waive the insurance.
It does. It's the last line of the italicized portion.
Okay.
So what I think what he's suggesting is that we leave the waiver, requirement to waive it
In the policy.
policy, but
Yep.
take the rest of that
Yep.
bolded language and move that actually onto the rental agreement.
Application.
Yeah.
So the downstairs and the kitchen fee is 50, the downstairs and auditorium is 100, and the downstairs and auditorium through the cold weather is $150. So I make a motion that we just accept the policy with that modification.
With the, just he's leaving the requirement to be waived.
The 3 sentences in bold print that you added, move the first 2 over to the
Over to the application.
whatever page that's gonna be.
Yeah.
And leave that last sentence, this requirement may be waived by, at the discretion of the select board in this paragraph.
Okay, so the motion's been made, so
Second.
is there any further discussion on that? The one thing I would ask was the rental agreement, which we all got a copy of the last time. With that change, is that okay to include with both the town hall and the town common policy with that
I think so.
particular change?
Yep.
Okay. So all those in favor of approving the town hall use policy as, what do we want to call it, amended, corrected, adopt? what do we wanna call it?
As amended.
As amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
If you can type that, you can take those 2 sentences, first 2 sentences out, leave the last sentence in, change the italic, and change it
Send it
to
back in.
bold, and get rid of the draft.
Yep.
Good, and I won't have to try to figure that out.
No problem.
Okay.
And you should already have an electronic copy of the rental agreement.
I do.
Be able to add that
Yeah,
later.
no, we have the rental agreement, we have the, yeah.
Okay, so there's the town report. Did you ever get a hold of,
Heard nothing. I did not talk to you.
what's your pleasure? Where would you like to go with the town report?
We haven't heard anything from last one.
Nope.
I would move that we go with Howard Printing for layout, design, and printing of the town report.
Second.
Yeah, I think if we wait,
You
school's
can't
not
wait.
in session until. what,
We're gonna miss the
another
window.
week or so, anyway.
Yeah, and if they, for whatever reason, they decide not to do it, then we have missed the window.
Have we spoken to Howard? Was there, you seconded that,
Yes.
did you? Have we spoken to Howard about how they would like to do this layout? There has to be one-on-one FaceTime with the town to be able to get this correct.
Well, somebody has to decide on the weight of the paper, on the color of the cover, on the
Yeah.
photographs.
But
that
that's the
go in.
Actually,
printing
no,
asset. I'm talking about the
no,
layout.
The layout, in my discussions with them, if we give them PDF files, they have a past year's report that they can use as a guide.
So they just would copy what they
Yeah.
have with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You need,
So if we
you
can,
need somebody to
I-
spearhead this.
I can take, if people can get me the information, I can be the go-between with Howard.
I said, there's gonna have to be some kind of a
Yeah.
FaceTime.
Well, no, but somebody needs to be the clearinghouse, because she's got a lot of information to put in. Somebody has to receive the PDFs and then forward them to Howard and
Yeah.
coordinate all this. It can be me or it can be you, but if
I
it
can
wants
do
to
it.
be you, if you want to do
I
it,
can
that's
do it.
fine.
Yeah.
But there's library reports,
Yep,
there's stuff coming in.
We're gonna find out what's going on with the school for this year as
Well,
well.
find
There
out
will
for the
be-
school, yeah.
There will be a warning for the school if nothing else.
All right. so
Yeah, if we
Steve
can
said-
get
Steve
me all the
seconded that.
files, I can sit with Howard and go through it with them.
Well, I'm adding you into the motion, and you're gonna be the liaison.
To Howard.
You're gonna be the controller. All right. Yep.
All right, so then is there any further discussion then on that? What's it gonna look like?
Is there a financial limitation within a, do you wanna,
Oh.
do you wanna just get that when you get that?
I
Because
think,
you've already
yeah,
got, you've already got.
we've got the
on
quotes from it,
Okay,
yeah.
so, okay. All right, sorry.
All right, so all those in favor of contracting with Howard Printing to do both the layout and the printing of the town reports, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. So rather than moving straight into the budget, okay, let's move down to number 9 for the new business. We have a request for a second-class liquor license from the 3J's, I guess, LLC, which is Harmonville Store. I would entertain a motion to approve a second-class liquor license for 3J's LLC.
Second.
No, I need
So
that
moved.
motion. There we go. Okay.
Well,
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the second-class liquor license for 3J's LLC, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Just a reminder, there is a place to approve it, and there is a signature line for
Yeah.
not approving
You
it.
stay on this
Yeah,
side.
stay on the side.
You have to do those.
That's the new one.
Right, that's on.
Yeah. Okay, then, is there any need for an executive session? No? Any other business?
I have some.
Sure.
Have you thought about getting after these computer outfits that are supplying us and have them do something so you can get on the computer in the morning? If Elaine is here, Lissa's here, and I'm here, we're all having problems, every one of us.
I don't see as how, the only person that we can yell at, because this has been researched, is NIMRIC. And NIMRIC's answer is they're not willing to support their software that's installed on their machines as it stands. Even though we pay them to do that, their only suggestion is we can move to the new software that's in the cloud. That's the only solution we've been offered,
So it's gonna cost us a night then,
basically.
so we should cut out paying them.
Well, we can certainly do that. We haven't paid them yet this year, as far as I know.
We've been paying them quite often.
There's like 3 or 4 different things we pay for. The support from NIMRIC is once a year.
Oh.
And I don't know if that has actually come through yet. We pay for CAMA, we pay for the backup, we pay for disaster recovery, but the actual support from NIMRIC is only one time a year. And that's what,
We gotta be careful what we don't pay for, if we don't pay for something.
Exactly.
So, have to vet that out pretty carefully. I mean, we're reliant on NIMRIC to the extent that they can fix some of the software is just really, really old.
Yeah.
And they no longer support it the way they used to, apparently.
And I know it's frustrating, and there've been, the latest problem I had, and need to go back to our support people and find out if there's anything Europa could do to try to solve the issue. And they just keep coming back and saying it's a NIMRIC problem, and the only answer we get from NIMRIC is we're supposed to move it to the
Upgrade.
cloud. Yep.
Do we have a quote from them on
No,
what that entails?
nobody's
No.
asked. Because one of the things that has come through the back door that I've heard, using the cloud software, is that the print function doesn't work. That you can't seem to make it work with your printers. Which is gonna leave us in a world of hurt when it comes to the financial office,
Yeah,
because we can't
exactly.
pull reports if we
Right.
can't print.
Yeah.
So I have no
Well,
idea.
tax bills, all kinds of things, grand list, all kinds of things get printed off for reports.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, that's just the preliminary that I've heard.
Well, maybe we should talk to them and see what they have for a proposal. And, 'cause, I mean, we really need to do something, clearly. And my understanding is that getting out from under NIMRIC would be a monumental task at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, we can certainly talk to them, but every time we go down this road, we circle right back to where we were. But, you know, they're not gonna tell you if they've got issues with the printing. For example,
No, that's true.
if we go talk to them
That's
and
true.
say, what would it cost to upgrade, and then we upgrade and we find out we can no longer print reports or tax bills, there might be an issue there. I mean, we'll do whatever you wanna do. Somebody make a decision.
I'll go online and do a little research.
Okay. Anything else? Other business?
I have one last item.
Sure.
I've been in contact with Nortrax in an effort to receive the paperwork required to register the payloader. I understand that Anita is now in receipt of that as of yesterday.
Their title.
Yes, so I need to know if someone's gonna be handling that, or can I have the paperwork so I can handle it? And I need to get that
I
registered.
didn't know it came in.
I found out yesterday she's in receipt of it.
She was, excuse me, she received the title, when she came back to work yesterday,
Okay.
after the holiday. So the title is in the offices in the vault. And I don't think she was aware of the fact that
We're waiting on that.
the registration hadn't gone on, so it would be a matter of letting her know that
Okay,
that needs to be followed through on this.
so she has it.
She does have the title,
Okay.
yes. Anything else? All right. Then the next regular meeting will be January 8th, 2019, at 6:15. And if there's nothing else, then I would entertain a discussion on the FY20 budget.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Then, so I'm not sure how you're going to go about this, Sharon.
I'm not gonna finish it
Gotta
tonight.
find it. Well, no, but we're gonna, sooner or later. That's twice now. What is my problem all of a sudden? It's so confusing.
I got it.
Can't seem to keep hold of it.
Gravity always wins.
Budget is up here somewhere. Thank you. I believe that, Craig has filled in anything that we already knew. We've received some information from certain entities as to what their fees are going to be for the next year. So I believe that's been filled in.
On general fund, I've plugged numbers in, a couple of highway fund numbers I've plugged in, we'll need 10, subject to approval and verification, but just to make it a little easier to go down the line. Some of these will stay zero, but basically you're starting with select board. Page 1 is revenue on general fund, basically you'd be starting with expenses, and that would start with 103,000 if you're gonna do general fund. You already looked at a lot of that. Didn't settle on wages, but I can plug that number in if it's gonna be the cost of living increase for me, and then I can go right through down the board, right through the board for the casual labor. It'll bring you right down to listers, will be the next one, and then finance office and town clerk and all of that as you get there. But anyway, you had done most of the select board stuff. Wages for your administrative assistant is still open, wages for bookkeeper, wages for various other personnel. I don't have anything from the listers by way of budget or from the town clerk by way of presentation. Some of the numbers I filled in with regard to health insurance and retirement, things like that. Just as a preliminary, those can be adjusted, they're minor adjustments if we adjust them. But the rest of this is still pretty open, and I didn't do very much of anything with highway other than some revenue stuff, a couple of expenses that I knew would be the same, and I haven't touched equipment yet. So,
So I guess the question would be, are we ready to actually go on record as accepting the 2.8 that the federal government is giving in the waiver of COLA for this coming year?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
That's a cost of living, not a performance.
Correct.
Right.
Rolling down.
Right.
Right.
So, actually, Steve, we did have an executive session, come to think of it, we had to incorporate that next time around. Forgot about that. So Craig, if we can use the 2.8 figure on the salaries.
I only have one of these right now, but we'll now, yeah, I can do that.
So that would make so it'd be a $961 increase then in the administrative assistant's wages.
$35273. Okay. And I'll check the other numbers that are functional drivers off of that.
Right.
They're pretty close right now.
So if we go through and we just basically go through and add all that 2.8% to all the wages, except for the highway, we're gonna have to sit down and completely recalculate that.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming down the line, you're all set until you get to elections. I don't have numbers for that yet, so that'll have to come in, but I've got a big yellow mark on that one. Delinquent tax collector is set. I don't have anything, as I say, from the listers at this point. Finance office is still,
Do we know, Craig, not to interrupt,
Yep.
year-to-date for this year, how the listers are performing to budget?
oh, I can tell you if I find the
Same
yellow notebook, yeah. It'll be pretty close. Not counting this payroll. I think I've got about this. As of 2 weeks ago, the wages were at 39%, budgeted 18, spent 7,100. As of early December, basically the whole budget, 28,100 for a budget for this year. I've spent 11 so far for the entire budget. And had gone over a little bit on maps by $100, not too bad. Everything else is sort of way under budget.
Thank you.
Yep.
So is there any, I mean, if we applied the 2.8 to the salaries, it would be about roughly $500 additional to that.
Bring it about to 23 for the budget. You're saying,
No, I'm saying that if we were,
Oh, 500.
we would add $500.
so it'd be
Applying that.
18.5
Yes,
going forward.
well, that's what it would be if they're going to use it all, but they're again,
Right.
we're gonna have to get a feel for where we are going to be at the end of the year. And the rest, same with the rest of the supplies. I mean, you've got the budget, we've got the actual for 12. Do you have the current year to date on any of the other expenses for the listers? Supplies, maps, computers, contractual.
I mean, you can look at that page spent as of 30th, just as an easy one. Supply line, the wages are on the other page, but I just said that. So,
Okay, so we had The maps, that was the new maps this year, correct? Is that the total cost?
No, because I think there's still, I think there's another bill coming in, but I'm not positive on that, whether it's been fully paid. Elaine thinks it's been fully paid. I think the contract indicates that it hasn't been. I think there's more coming on those. But in any case, the maps are great, but I haven't seen a finalized. The ones that they have in there right now are still drafting, and Anita doesn't have a copy, and we don't have a PDF yet. So I think there's still work being done on the maps. That being said, they're well worth whatever we're paying for them. It's just I don't think it's finished up yet, but I don't know because I haven't asked that question specifically. So there may be more on the map side, but their other spending is considerably down, so they're not gonna hurt their budget this year.
Okay, so even with the rest of them, computer expense is zero, but the request has been made to add a new computer in there.
Right.
So that was,
So we could probably leave that, leave it at 1,000 less for this year, right?
we could, but I'm just saying that the discussion also focused around using their state money, the money we
Oh,
receive
right.
from the state
Right, I
to
forgot about
offset the cost of anything they need for the,
And there are two funds available. There's a Lister Education Fund, which can be used for almost anything as long as it pertains to the Lister's office and legitimate costs like travel and whatever, of which there's not a whole lot of money. It's a couple $1,000s, but there's also the Reappraisal Fund, and that can be used for anything that pertains to the grand list. So there's a lot of latitude and interpretation in that, but there's over $120,000 sitting in the bank for that. So you need to keep in mind that there are some funds available for things which support CAMA, NIMRIC, computer, whatever. We'd have to parse it out and make sure that it was a legitimate expense from a particular fund. But there is funding available for some of the stuff, like maps and whatnot.
I mean, when you get contractual services, they've spent $128, software licenses, they spent $350, tech support, they spend $112.
Well, one of the things that's a little deceiving is that Helen, even though she's an employee and a contract employee, is coming in under Lister's wages. Her wages are going in under the wage line. So the three Listers actually have four. I mean, even though they're not all working full-time. As opposed to that coming in under hired services, so as a consultant or a contractor, which is okay. But I'm just saying that got put into the wage line as opposed to a contract service line.
So I don't know what your wishes are. They've spent $11,000, most of it's been in wages of the $28,000 budget.
We'll throw to that in maps, but yeah, that's mostly where it is. And I don't know that, I haven't talked to any, but I don't know of any big projects that are coming up. You just looked at the CLA and the COD.
Yeah, those
They're fine for right now.
Okay, then moving on down to the finance office. Again, there was nothing in there for supplies or computer expense. I don't know how that got to be zero. So there were expenses there. Where are we here?
Are you looking at budget status? Or,
No, FY2.
She's holding two sheets there, so.
The outside audit is fairly fixed, right?
Well, it has to go back out to bid.
It
Right.
will go back out.
It'll have to go out to bid this year.
What is other municipal bookkeeping?
Yeah, well, I had created that line to try to keep track of, it was a differentiation line, basically. And it happened when Chris Cook was the bookkeeper and then when Terry Garland came in to take her place. But the bookkeeper is hired by the select board, works for the select board, works as a select board's employee to serve the select board, and in a broader sense, the municipality. But you do have other entities, such as the library and the cemetery commission, that use up many hours a month of bookkeeping services and yet do not fund that. So the taxpayer contributes, obviously pays the bookkeeper through the select board to keep track of that, but it doesn't show up in their budgets. It's part of a municipal service. And to the extent that payroll is a big part of that, that's fine. But in terms of keeping track of taxpayer funds for the library, $50,000 worth of fund, that becomes, it has been complicated in the past. It's gotten a little simpler, a little more straightforward. And same is true with the cemetery. But there have been months in which 10, 11, 12 hours, 15 hours have been used for so-called other services that don't serve the select board, over which you have no authority,
Right.
answerable to other boards of
Other
trustees,
entities.
right, who aren't budgeting for any kind of
So it's really,
offsetting
it's a tracking line.
expense offset, right. So it was a tracking line, in part, and it did get used in order to offset some of the costs of back when we went away from having local auditors and hiring outside auditors and getting into needing consulting and going with the CPA in Brattleboro and other outside kinds of things.
Okay.
There was money set aside in part for that.
So you need that line item now, moving forward?
The finance office has become a catch-all for things that, like the select board, I'm sorry to say, for tax bill expense and things like that, that don't really, sovereign solar, that don't really belong in their particular account lines. Some of the things that were in finance office that we used for the last couple of years, we've taken out. Some of the things are newly added in. But honestly, I don't think that you need other municipal bookkeeping expenses. Kathy's got a printout there of any costs to date. I think if you go back 2 years, I don't think you'll see any costs that have been applied to that line. It helps to bring the budget up, and the budget actually has needed to have some, well, to be blunt about it, it's needed to be over budgeted because we've had expenses with computer and with training and with having representatives from NIMRIC here to consult, and essentially a failed audit 1 year, a questionable audit the second year, a very good audit done this year, but it's been a lot of work and people have been hired to help out in that. So in any case, the budget has increased, and not knowing how tax collection and treasury were going to be handled. We have travel expense for treasurer now, which we haven't had in years past. So those little things have kind of found their way into this big block that do or don't need to be looked at. But the budget itself has grown over the last 4 or 5 years. I'd say it's at least doubled.
Well, see, one of the prime examples of what he's talking about is on the training bookkeeper line. I mean, the budget was $200, we spent 47.
That's a lot.
And there are actually two of them there.
To actually bring help in for Elaine to learn how to use the NIMRIC software.
So where does,
And we have tech support
so we
also,
need
which
to
is in there.
budget 3,000 moving forward, or she's got that figured out now, and we could, are we trying to?
It's an ongoing, it shouldn't get.
What are we doing?
It's a support mechanism.
Uh-huh.
So
So
in
you
other
watch
words,
it
like
somewhere
during
else.
the audit, when he asks a question that she cannot answer, she doesn't know enough about the software and how it's reporting,
Yeah.
that she has to call on
Call
somebody.
someone, tech
Exactly,
support or whatever.
exactly.
And there are always things that because the system is set up in such a way, the NIMRIC system is so particular. I mean, it's a good system, but it is very particular in how it gets. There are things that you only do like once a year. She's going to be doing W-2s. And in 2 weeks, Lori from NIMRIC will come down and spend 3 or 4 hours here helping her punch those out, just so that they come out right.
Right, yeah.
And it's worth whatever it costs to bring her in for a couple of hours, just to make sure that we end up with the right product. Because
So
it's
you know
not.
where the finance office is year to date? Can I just interrupt you?
It's right here.
She has it as of the end of, right, and we haven't had any expenses in December that account for anything. But there's tech services, there's support, we've had a lot of computer expenses this year.
The budget is 54,
We've just tried to
we've
find a
actually
line that'll
54,
cover it.
we've used 27%.
It would help us all if we had a year-to-date.
I'm gonna do it
First 5 periods of this year.
Turning on the machine, right? We'll get a year-to-date on finance and whatever else you want. It's easy to
I guess my question is just if you've kind of balanced out the finance office and the bookkeeper's office and the treasurer, you know, if all of that is sort of beginning to not be quite such an expense, why wouldn't we trim that back just a little bit? Or do we not need to do that?
We'll see what we did. See, here was the budget. In 18, it was to 44. Was the actual.
But there were a lot of overages in the,
Well, there definitely were.
so, you know, if we budgeted 54 and we've spent year to date 27% of that, would we
Right.
not just trim that back a little bit, considering there's like, what's the fiscal year end, June 30?
Yes.
So we're halfway through.
Well, but for example, right here, the outside audit, there's absolutely nothing in that line. And we paid that, we paid all $12,000 of that.
So why don't we just leave it flat and move on?
See, that,
I say we leave it flat and move on, and we have a little buffer in there.
I mean, you know, because you're never absolutely certain what's already in
What's been
up to date, but I know for a fact that we paid that $12,000 and that's not, that's
It's
gonna
not
take
showing on there.
it, it's gonna take it to 27.
Yeah.
So that's half. And again, we haven't gotten anything from the clerk as far as her expenses for the front office, or any needs or whatever. The only thing that we would be able to do would be to deal with the wages.
Mhm.
That would be 35, 450 times. If we follow it, it would be 900, no,
Now, would that include the days that she doesn't come in, that she should be open?
35, 415 times 2.8%. We'd be talking about 992 would that one would be. And what was your question?
Well, she's scheduled to work, be open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. There's plenty of times before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, before whatever time it is, and we take a day, we close the town hall or town office for that period of time. There's no, she's basically getting paid to be here, and she's not here for plenty of days. I mean, when it snows 3 inches, she can't come off the hill, the place is closed. Day before Thanksgiving, closed. Day before Christmas, closed. Day before her birthday, closed. Day before Easter, we're closed. I mean, now we're not open anymore on Saturday. I mean, these are all things that when she started, they were open.
Well, at this point in time, the one thing I will say is that her salary is set by the voters, and by statute, she's entitled to that salary whether or not she ever walks in the door. I mean, that's just the way the statute is set up. So I don't know how you could figure days.
Well, I know how I figure days. When somebody works, they work, and when they don't work, they don't work. That's how I kind of figure a day. I mean, I guess a salary is a salary, but if you're not there the days that you're supposed to be open, then that's...
So what's your suggestion?
That's a larger conversation though. I
And
wonder
the
though
remedy
why
is
this-
election.
Yeah, I wonder if the voters, like I wasn't aware of that until we talked about it just a few weeks ago. I had no idea that.
I mean, guest storage,
I guess so.
there's fringe benefits, there's...
Yeah. So I don't know if that happens on the floor at town meeting day in front of the voters?
Salaries are a discussion.
Mhm.
The discussion.
The discussion.
Yeah. What does it mean to be a salaried employee of the town? You know, could somebody clarify what that means versus what Rob suggested? She said, what's the obligation?
I'm just pointing out
to
the
town?
obvious. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
nitpicking it. It's just, this is what it is. If you're either open or you're closed.
Right.
You're not halfway. You're either here or you're not here.
Right.
Either somebody's coming in and can get their questions answered, pay a bill, do whatever it is in there, or you can't. plain and simple.
But I don't know what recourse, if any, this board actually, it doesn't sound like there's anything
None.
we can really do about it because she's an elected official, elected by
Well,
the
then let's just add
voters.
2.8% along and not discuss it.
Well, like I said, you can certainly have that discussion at town meeting if you'd like, but I'm not sure where you're gonna go with it. And again, the rest of the budget, in the way of copper expenses, whatnot, I'll have to rely on her to provide.
Is there an uptick in town clerk expenses in an election year?
Yes.
Outside of the elections, outside of the elections section?
Outside of the election, yes, because
Yeah.
there's prep work that goes into the elections.
okay.
That falls into the wage category that wouldn't be part of the actual election,
Right.
for example.
Yeah, I just, presidential year,
Yeah, it would be.
yeah. Something to bear in mind.
All right, I'm falling apart here. Then the next one would be, the planning, I thought we had.
We do.
Information. It's all typed together. Yeah. I think it was level funded, as I recall.
They moved some stuff around, but I didn't actually do the math yet, but it looks like it's pretty close.
Oh, Steve, I don't know if you got that copy.
No.
Before we get there.
Oh, yes, I got this
You
at the
got
garage.
that?
Yep.
Okay. There's fire department. Must be the last one. Well, no, I don't seem to have, there it is.
It is exactly level funded.
Or was it, yeah, they moved the.
They moved some stuff around, but
But it's still
the
the
numbers all.
44.
Yeah.
Oh, that, no, it's actually an increase. What did?
No,
where did
4,400, I just added them all.
What did Craig change here? Because this is already filled in, 350,
Oh, is it?
750.
Mine says 3,900.
350, right. Yeah, but this year's budget is 44, and the
Right.
request is for 44,
Yeah,
so there's something
350,
different.
8,000, 1,250.
Ah,
He left off 200 in notices.
okay, that's what it is.
Yep.
Well, no, but they,
That's 41.
350, 750,
750.
350,
What about the clerical number?
12, 200.
Oh, yeah, 500.
And
Clerical.
then another, okay, another 300 there.
Yep.
So there's your $500.
Okay.
Be adding into the notice line, 200, and 500 on the,
On the travel
Travel.
meeting.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Crash, battery must.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's, anyway, we're back online here, and get you anything you want real quick.
Battery and Mike must died yesterday.
Anyway, that's this year.
Unless,
So far.
All right. So that was the request from the planning commission. Board of Civil Authority.
Did
They
you
did-
change anything on that? I'm sorry, I'm.
Yeah.
Just what they, just what they changed.
Oh,
Yeah.
that should have been on your print, though.
The notices,
No, but it wasn't, because they changed the last two that you didn't put in.
Really?
yeah, notices and travel and meetings.
Board of Civil Authority usually stays about the same.
Is that supposed to be 500 in supplies? Is that because of election?
I don't know what that is.
Did that come down from the line above?
Maybe.
That could be the 500 from the line above.
Yeah.
Okay, so. As soon as you get your papers, yeah.
Okay, where are you?
We're,
Board of Civil Authority.
well, let's go back to the planning commission.
Oh, right.
Okay.
And the the notice line, they requested 200,
Right.
and then they requested 500 for travel and meetings.
Okay.
But then, something happened really strange with the Board of Civil Authority, because they've got $500 supplies line for the BCA.
Yeah, okay, so it just got shifted.
It got
That's
shifted.
Yep, that's what
So,
it
so
is.
my get, so that
That's-
needs to go
yeah.
back to $75, not the 500.
BCA is 25.
25 and then-
75 total, you mean?
Yeah.
75.
25 and 50.
Right.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Now, let's see, how many other times did I do that? So when you go through this, you just keep hitting the next button and plug in the next number. Okay, so 200, 500, we're okay on that. With the planning commission, BCA, 25 and 50. Okay, good catch.
This is the planning commission. Okay, so the town hall. We didn't, see, what did you just hand us?
I just handed you finance office, believe it or not.
Okay, so you just got the
So
finance
let me take a
office.
look at the budget.
I don't have
General
this.
fund. Okay, this is again, just one, I'll just give you this, I'll just give you the top page on that. There's your budget status report for 11/30, and that'll give you the municipal town hall wages and.
Okay, so janitors, for example, we've got $1,800 in there so far. Years, that's actual.
Last year you used 661, I don't know what your year-to-date is. as
Year to
of-
date so far is 332.
Okay.
Sounds like we could probably.
So it's-
So if you double that, it'd be 661 again, or $700. I think 1,800 is almost twice too much, but again,
Yeah, I would say we strap it down to 800, 900.
800.
okay, 800.
All right, the supplies line, budgeted 2,000, we've used just under 300.
Last year you used
Last year
1,000.
we used 1,000,
1,000.
Let's trim it to-
make it 1,000.
Okay, office expense.
That's a catch-all.
It is.
Yeah.
Budget was 15,
Last year we
the
was
actual was
31,
was
almost.
Yeah.
31. We left
What's
it at
year-to-date?
15, year-to-date is 714, so 50%.
Go back to
15
1,500.
sounds probably about right.
Okay, insurance, isn't showing anything yet?
Last year spent 7,800, budgeted 8
No,
for
no,
this
no,
year.
no, wait a minute, and then
Oh,
I'm in
you
the wrong
missed
line.
computer expense.
I missed computer
I'm sorry,
expense.
yep, okay.
Yeah.
Because computer was 250, actual last year was 393, another 200 in this, 250 in this year, we haven't spent anything yet, or nothing's showing.
250.
So just leave that, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, then insurance,
I put in 8,000 already, I think that's probably about right.
okay,
Lawn care are left out, for obvious reasons, so, we're not gonna be tallying lawn care.
Right, we're not gonna be
Against
separating.
the town
Right.
hall, and that was actually a combination of the common and the ball field and all that. That was basically Mike Finnegan's, she just kept putting it under lawn care town hall. In any case, if the highway.
that's
department-
gonna be DPW. right?
Well, if it's DPW, and we pick that up, we may wanna have a line so we can keep track of that as a separate entity, but nonetheless, it's not gonna be here anymore.
Right.
Under town hall expense, like that anyway.
okay, so the clock contract. Repair
Oh,
maintenance.
repair maintenance.
Okay, we have, this is actual this year, so last year we used 2,500 of that 10.
Yeah,
This year so far, we've used 2,364.
Both of which are,
That was probably part of the furnace, wouldn't it be?
I'm trying to think of where that came from, whether that was part of it.
that was, I thought that came out of the,
It came out of the, yeah, we took that out of the RDAG money. And there still is a substantial amount in the RDAG money, which I would, and I would hope that we would do some repairs on town hall, but I wouldn't budget for them out of taxpayer
Right.
collected money. We
Right.
do have the money set aside if we choose to use it for that. I would say start using that, and if you guys get really ambitious, then next year, let's build in some budget and take some money from the taxpayer. Right now, you've got money in savings account for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree that
Repair.
if we had enough to
Not just under 24.
do whatever projects we can think
Well,
of. we should
I'd like to
zero
see a new furnace, but a new furnace down there is gonna cost, I mean, for the second furnace, a new furnace would cost 7,000, maybe 7,000. That's fine,
Right.
that's not 5% of what you got, or 8% of what you got.
So do
it.
we
And I still
want
wanna build an office.
do we want to take it to 2,500 instead of 10,000?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get something there, go 2,500.
2500.
Yeah.
Clock contract is 125. It doesn't seem to be used, so. Fuel and propane, we've now changed.
I left it the same because I think it's gonna be more efficient than it was last year. Last year, we went over a little budget, but we did a lot of gas last year, it was a tough year. This year, I
And
think
it was
it's gonna,
super cold last year.
this year, I think, right, this year I'm hoping it's gonna be less with the oil and the efficiency and the new tank and all of that. Hopefully, we won't heat the upstairs quite as much, but whatever it is, I don't anticipate it going over, much over last year's budget, so I left it the same. But
So
that's-
communications in 18, we spent just almost right on the money, budgeted 15, and this year we did the refit
Yeah,
of the town hall communications have spent 2,600. So I think that 15 is probably pretty close to being accurate.
because the monthly cost of doing the fiber line wasn't that much more than the other line, was it?
Well, we had multiple other ones,
Right.
and we started adding them all together.
Yeah.
The alarm,
We've done some work on that. Hopefully, we won't have to repeat that. Like, we've got those issues straightened out, but there was an annual, I think it's $290 or something.
so the
Pay
300's correct.
3 is all right. And I'm buying the batteries. We're not getting them from Countryside
And new
anymore.
equipment, we hit that line this time around, that was
Right, and we were
part of the,
part of the furnace
yeah,
thing.
for 34.
Yeah.
So that's,
I'd leave that one and renovations at 0.
Yep.
leave 34 in the equipment?
I'm sorry, huh?
No, there's nothing in the equipment right now.
No, we hit the equipment, there was nothing in it, we hit it.
So the repair and maintenance line, the line item for 10 grand that we budgeted, we put the furnace under new equipment? Not
Yeah, the
repairs
furnace
and
should be
maintenance?
under new equipment. I'd have to find out what we've got in there for 2,500 and what we've got for 4,900. But the two of them add up to, and she may have split it for no particular reason, but the two of them add up to about what we have in the furnace and the tank. They came in at about 7,000 for the new furnace and the new tank. We don't have to replace the tank, obviously, again. There was some credit back. And I believe we're reimbursed for all of that from the RDAG fund, which would show up somewhere else on a revenue page under miscellaneous revenue reimbursement kind of thing. So I think all that cost is a wash ultimately, and taxpayer money really wasn't used. That said, I don't think I'd budget anything for next year, but we do have money in savings to use. And again, if you decide you want to replace a third of the windows in here, it's going to be expensive. The following year, you can begin to budget for those things so we don't use
So
up
those
all the
last two
RDAG money.
reserves. So we're good there, right?
Yeah, so moving down to public safety, that's the new number for rescue, the 1%.
Yep.
Constable, supplies, 200. The bond, and the liability, so
Those
those
are
are
pretty
the
standard,
same, yeah.
Law enforcement's an article unless,
Yeah, what would you like to do with law enforcement this year?
I left that blank just because I assume it's gonna be an article and you're gonna see what the taxpayer wants to do for that, for funding for that. Historically, it's been in the 20-25 range, except for that 1 year, it was double that. But
Do we want to do that as a specially warned article, or do we want to build something into the budget?
And I'd be inclined to just build it
I
into
was
the
just gonna
budget.
say that
Yeah.
very same thing, well, given the
We
way it
had
went
it
last
last
year,
year.
and it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fell flat, I don't think we should just budget for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of a number we want to put in there?
Can you just leave it?
Leave it
flat?
at 20,000.
Leave it at 20?
Yeah.
Haven't gotten any information from Sherwood. I know he has some things he would like to spend some money on. I think most of those will come out of this year's $2,500 budget. He may need some of next year's money, so he'll get me some numbers, but I doubt that it'll be more than $2,500 for next year as well. So, with regard to some radio communication stuff, I know he's talking to Steve. I don't know whether that's gonna tie in with the highway department or not. And whatever's being coordinated with the hospital and the high school and the elementary school and all of that. I don't know where his budget's gonna go, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot larger than 2,500. And he still has 25 he hasn't touched this year.
So we could probably leave that level.
My guess is that he doesn't need more than 5,000 overall, but I'm going out on a limb with that. I haven't talked to him recently and I don't know what his thinking is. But if he did need up to 5,000, he could.
Between this year and next year.
Yeah, he could pay half the bill in June and the other half in July kind of thing.
Right.
And we'd make it work somehow. But I don't know. It's up to you, or I'll get you some information next time from him. The
So-
specific.
The pound keeper at 300 is what we seem to spend every year for the contract. And the fire department, we actually got, you did? We got a proposal from the fire department.
And they're basically.
They were also, yeah,
They-
a couple
they-
$100 somewhere, right?
They changed a few priorities, but they're basically level funded across the board.
It came in at 48.6 for the firehouse. So that's down just slightly.
Yeah.
And then they went up on vehicles. They went to 17.6. Which is, I know it's the same. So you actually went, no, you plugged that in. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that's what we got from the fire department, their request. Let's see. Oops. Board of Health. No costs that we normally
Nope,
have
we don't
unless we end
budget.
up with some kind of a legal issue. So those totals will change there, the public safety piece. So now it's.
Yeah, if you put the 20,000 for law enforcement in there, it brings you up to where you were last year kind of thing. There's some minor changes on top of that, but basically it brings it around to the same.
Good.
So then moving on to public works.
Municipal sidewalks, I put in at 0. Again, that's a function of the highway, and Steve and I will talk, or we'll talk with the board, see how they want to track that, if you want to keep it separate from, keep some of the DPW things separate from just highway function. But in any case, hopefully that crew will be able to manage
Do the
that.
work.
And that's sidewalk plowing and sweeping.
Now, the municipal electric is where there's going to have to be a change. And that's going to be, part of that electric is going to be rebudgeted back to the library. We've been paying this last year, we've been paying the library's electric bill because they do get solar credit. But there's so little generation coming off of the field now that we've split our solar credits to the point where nobody's really seeing any benefit from the credits. So we need to pull it back in, start focusing on the garage and the town hall, and then letting the library, within their own budget, deal with their electrical costs. Because one of the things I did see last year, particularly in the summertime, was an excessive amount of cooling that was going on in the library when there was no one there. And so I think it's, rather than us absorbing that cost, that needs to go back and become a function.
Split it back out.
Become a function of the library.
It's cool, it's dehumidification too, and last year was a particularly wet year, but they do run a lot. And we're running out of credits already, it's only December we're not banking them like we used to, and that's actually probably a good thing. But
So-
the distributions are different now.
At some point in time, we're going to need to get a total on what the library is.
Yep.
And that, because so far this year, which I don't have that function.
Last year there were 216, 220, something like that.
262.
262, okay.
Where's the library? Or
This
where's
year's
the-
Should be page what, 4? 6? Page 6 of 7.
Municipal.
Yeah,
In the 30s, right?
right under firehouse. Electric.
Oh, well, this is really helpful. This is absolutely helpful. We've spent nothing on electricity.
Well, that's a little November, what we have spent in December.
Absolutely nothing. We spent streetlights,
Yeah. Streetlights are generally our own time.
and we paid for the firehouse. So we're gonna need to find out what the library's usage is and deduct that from the overall town hall piece. Okay, so what else is here? The garage electric. Okay, so those are all the zeros. Those will all stay in that big number, except for the library.
But if you look at,
And the
look at
firehouse,
where
the electric is separate as well.
the budget in 2018 was for all that municipal electric and the sidewalks, forget about the sidewalks, but the budget was 10,003, call it, of which we spent on an actual basis 5,500. If you add into that the money that we spent with Sovereign Solar,
Right.
which interestingly is under Select Board, you'll find another 5,000 there. So we're pretty much on target, you know, with the money. Kathy's right, we need to distribute it differently, we need to apply more here and more to the garage. The things have changed a little bit anyway. Last year's Sovereign Solar, wherever it is, $5,508. So that 10,003 is pretty accurate, depending. But as she says, the field is
It's
generating
just broken up
less.
funny.
The field is generating less, and it's being attended less, and we're right on the line here. We're not. There's no safety margin built in on this, and it can get very expensive in a hurry.
No, but that number needs the library does need to come out of there.
Oh, I'm not. I don't disagree. I'm just saying that overall, it's not like we budgeted 10.3 and we only spent 5.
Right.
There's
Well-
another 5 hidden on another page. So.
Right.
All right.
So we definitely need to take care of that little piece. The, actual 0. Okay. So we've got the town barn and the town garage. So it was $1,000, $200 this year in FY 19, and we spent nothing yet for supplies. I understand we're going to have new cables.
They're installed.
Oh, we already have new cables. Okay, so there will be something in that line.
New cables.
Well, it
$71.
depends on how it gets booked, and some of these do and don't get booked properly, but yeah.
Okay, the insurance seems to come, we've only paid half of it so far this year, and that was 2,400.
So let's bring that up
So
to
we
5.
should bring it up
Probably
to
go up to
5.
5, yeah. It looks like that's where Mo is.
Yeah, that's been creeping.
But no, this is actually where it'll be, repair and maintenance, not supplies, repair and maintenance, that's where the cables will be.
What cables?
Garage door cables.
So we budgeted.
But the laborers didn't have to come down from up north to put them on.
So we saved $404.
$400 an hour.
So there was only 200 in the,
Well, you cut it down, because you only
In the
spent 50
budget.
last year, but I mean, that's the way it got
Right.
booked. A lot of stuff got booked under all equipment and 300 funds.
and so far we've
stuff.
spent $526.25.
The building needs some work.
It needs paint, it needs a broom.
It needs some work.
Well, do we have a suggestion as to what
Give me
kind of supplies?
$1,500.
15 in supplies?
And supplies are in maintenance.
Repair
Excuse
maintenance.
me, Maintenance.
Repair and
Right.
maintenance.
Is that gonna include the well? Are you thinking about anything about water supply? Because that is where that would,
No.
if you're gonna have it purged or fracked or, okay.
Okay. Fuel oil for the garage.
Which is actually propane.
Okay, so it was
Right,
budgeted
Jerry, change some of this.
4,057. Put 4,500 in this year and it's showing absolutely 0.
We just got the first load from Osterman in November, so that bill probably hadn't been paid until December 1st or something, and I think
So we don't. we know
Probably
where
in
we're-
pretty good shape with
We just got
55.
For-
filled up last week too, so I haven't seen the bill yet, in the warrants for propane.
No, not yet.
Okay. So then you've got the telephone for the garage.
I'm sorry, you're gonna run that at 55 for the fuel?
We got nothing to
propane?
base it, we have got nothing to base it on other than what we used last year.
So, it
Right,
also,
but we probably want to increase it from 45.
well, also in the news, propane is going down, the price of propane in Vermont is going down.
Right.
right now.
So do you wanna leave it at 45 or?
45?
45.
Okay.
Okay.
Telephone for the garage, budgeted 600, it was 524. It's 234 so far.
That seems about right.
Yep.
Okay. Computer expense for the garage, there's 200 in there.
200 should be fine, I would assume.
So far this year's 132, so you should be good with your 200. Okay, now we get down to the trash.
How old is the laptop you're working on now?
Old. Same age as
Same
Craig's
as
actually.
mine, 2014, so 4 years.
Yeah, there's some,
We should
But
probably.
they don't run on batteries, so I mean, they're always plugged in.
there's
They're
really no
a
reason to
constant
think
source of
about it.
supply.
I mean, it's strictly, what do you use the laptop for, Steve?
Email, weather. Oh, laptop? I don't have a laptop.
No,
I just have the,
Chris is a laptop, isn't it?
Yeah, but, yeah, it's a laptop, it's plugged in at the desk.
well, it's plugged in at the desk.
Yeah, it's a laptop, and it's the same thing that I've got over here.
But just.
Email and weather.
Email and
Okay.
weather.
And
You're
if
not
I'm
doing
looking up a part,
Yeah, so it's probably fine. Okay.
yep. that's-
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't run on like something from 2009 where none of the software is going to be supported.
Yeah, it's,
All right, so we're moving on to waste management. Did you plug the new number? You must-
that is a new number for WSW. We don't have an actual physical, we haven't gotten a letter yet, but according to Irv, it's a little under 8,800 or something for the assessment.
Okay, what time?
It's going down partly because the solar field is offsetting, and partly because they're not doing as much.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, so the recycling contract, we budgeted 16. Last year we used 11. This year so far, we put in at 26% or 42, halfway through the year.
Just leave it at 11?
Yeah, try to drop it down to 12.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
Put it at 12,
Put it
Yeah.
at 12.
okay. Wages for the attendant, do we want to apply the 2.8 to that? Oh, lost you, where did it go, 12?
It'd be 336. So call it 12,400,
Now,
12,400.
somebody needs to make certain that that is acceptable.
Understood.
Yep.
Supplies for the compactor, been a whole $40 so far this year.
Well, there's the
Now, bear in
5,000
mind-
last year.
Bear in mind that both of these costs, the recycling contract, actually your tipping fees are coming up here in a minute. Recycling contract, tipping fees, and wages for your attendant are all covered by the sale of trash bags to a degree. But they show up on a revenue page, so when you're
Right.
looking at setting a tax rate, these costs are offset by money that purportedly is coming in or supposedly predictably is coming in. So don't be afraid of them too much. We're holding our own with that.
Okay, so the supplies, I don't know, there was batteries, there was,
There was the hydraulic line, right? Wasn't that a big one?
I don't remember.
Oh, I think the compactor is gonna need some service.
I
I don't know that it's ever had an oil change.
So-
I mean,
I took a line under equipment and added R1 in
it
one
should,
of
no,
those slots.
it should be in general fund, because it's a waste management thing, not a highway thing. But it's a technicality.
Did you get a number for it? So for just for the compactor itself?
2,500
2,500 for repairs?
for the truck repairs.
Okay, so that,
I mean, when parts come in for it, we generally bill them out on the general fund side. because they're basically part of the cost of doing waste management, and we try to cover that with the trash bag sales. We don't cover the labor anymore for driving it in and out of town. There used to be a 2-hour travel cost for a highway employee. We just throw that into the highway department. It's now DPW. A lot of these accounts are archaic and they can be shifted around to be more accurate. But compactor's always been on the general fund side and paid for by,
Because the town owns the truck as opposed to the highway department.
well, however you want to parse it, it's all mixed up.
It's a little bit semantics, a
So
little
the
bit
insurance for
funding.
the compactor seems to be about 175. We paid half of it so far this year. Was
But it also keeps this whole waste management thing out of the highway budget. The highway budget's big enough. This is huge, but it's not really part of highway.
Yeah.
It's part of a general fund, public service provision that,
Okay, so tipping fees,
So
I'm sorry,
I can give this account a bill then for all our services for maintaining the truck.
well, yeah, there just isn't a line in here for servicing the truck. I mean, the servicing of the truck has always been on the highway department. They've just never done a lot of servicing on it. Put tires on it once in a while. They put a couple batteries in it when we bought it.
yeah, but the tires we pay for, they come.
They come out of the supply line, right, they come out of the
Right.
supply line, but in terms of.
Not out of the highway.
Right.
But you're talking about labor.
Right, in terms of labor, no, that should be charged, theoretically, it should be charged against the general fund because it's a cost of waste management, so to speak. And to have an accurate idea of how much does it cost to run a transfer station.
Right.
That shouldn't be commingled with a highway department function and maintaining roads and all of that. It comes under your umbrella, DPW though.
Right.
So the whole shoot match really belongs in your lap. We can rearrange, anytime during the year, we can rearrange this. All, the money ends up in budget lines, but in the end, it's all coming out of a general fund. And as long as things end up not going too surplusy or too deficit, we can only hope for the best and try to keep the accounting. And this is the way it was set up and it's the way it's been. But it doesn't mean that for practical purposes going forward, it's the way you guys want to do it. So, but anyway, that's the way it is now. So I'd put 2,500 in for, you said supplies, compactor?
Right.
Well, as I go down the accounts, I see maintenance and repair compactor, so that's where the 2,500.
That's probably where I should
Okay, all
go.
right,
Yeah.
all right, we'll put it down there. And what did you want for supplies? What am I thinking of supplies for compactor? What did we put in there for? I have to go see where those bills came from. Or what they
Yeah,
were.
is that,
Again, it just becomes as long as the bottom line
yeah,
is.
gas, hydraulic fluid,
And, see, we're not
Yeah.
tracking the gas so much.
right.
Anyway,
All right, well, so 2,500 goes one of those two lines.
Maintenance and
I put
repair.
it under maintenance and repair.
All right,
Supplies, you put in 250 again? 500?
Yeah, I don't know what's in there, so.
Okay, well, you and I will talk, I'll do a printout and we'll talk about it, figure it out.
okay, so the insurance, like I said, that seems to be about right. Tipping fees paid, and again, there's an offset with this. So,
I put in 20 because that's what you spent last year, and that's fine. But we also, again, we raised the cost of bags last year because the price went up the year before. And now we're,
And the compost bags.
right,
Right.
yeah, and although we're not doing those anymore. We should be on target to cover all those costs with the sale of bags.
Yeah, last year we sold 32,000, 32.2.
Yeah.
okay, so then moving into, this was the common. I'm gonna turn the page, so I don't know what it was. Is it common?
Yeah.
Then we had the mowing for that's
Zero.
part right. And supplies for the common, that would be paint.
Well, actually, you got
mulch.
gazebo on the bottom. You got gazebo maintenance is on the bottom there.
No, but you still have supplies for the common, you have mulch for the trees, you have,
Yeah.
Well,
paint for the
tree
front.
care is in there, lawn care is in there, fountain care is in there separately as separate items. I left supplies for the common at 0, and because I don't know whatever got really put in. If we fertilize the grass, comes under lawn care. We don't do anything with the little telephone booth anymore. Yeah, hopefully we generate a little revenue out of leasing the common out, right? Yeah.
Okay, so,
We haven't used that supply line for a long time, and the
We should
wages
probably
haven't
just
been
get rid
applied
of it.
for the mowing part of it, so that'll get absorbed in the highway labor, and we can break that out separately if they wanna keep track of it. But it doesn't need to be part of the budget item on this side of it.
did we ever have the insurance on the gazebo?
No, we're not insuring the gazebo.
Alright, so is there any changes there on the,
Don't, I don't think so.
okay, then recreation would be the ball field. I'm assuming the ball field is,
Clay for the pitcher's mound or repairs to the fence.
okay, so it doesn't have, that's not mowing at all,
No,
okay,
no.
okay. Right here, employer's expense for the town.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a FICA, that all has to be
That's all
calculated.
calculated.
Yeah, other expense, the long-term note, that would be the bond on the garage, the interest paid on the note. Wyndham County tax is 12, about, so, what, you gave a paper, didn't you, in Wyndham County?
Yeah, we,
Is it Wyndham
you
County?
should have, I think both of them are posted by now, if there was one due in November, so. But they should be, they came in at about 12.
Okay. Memorial Day expense would be the flags, that seems to be about right. And I'm not sure what miscellaneous expense was, the actual.
It was miscellaneous,
Okay.
but it's offset by miscellaneous revenues, so.
Okay.
So,
So there's
you have
no-
373 in miscellaneous revenues.
to and from transfers, reappraisal to the CD, none of that.
No,
Shows up in the
fine.
budget, so. it
And
would be
skip
a-
the bottom lines, because I don't mean it.
Right, be a matter of recalculating that, so that takes care of the general fund. At least as far with what we have.
Right.
Let's see what they did one, two. What else do we have? So that's Beamer's. That was the planning commission. So then in the highway fund and the first part of it is revenue. It's about the middle of the page getting into expenses. And your wages is going to be a factor of your multiplier.
Well, plus you have another individual, so.
Well, that's it. I mean, somebody's going to have to sit down and.
And again, we can guess it out.
They did it on an annual basis.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you come up
So the
with?
straight time labor is 190,000.
Okay,
And then if we wanted to plug in an overtime number on top of that,
Yep.
let's say $10,000, that would put it at 200,000.
200,000.
So that's what I've got right there, is 200, just for working purposes.
That makes sense.
Three, yep.
And that-
Well, you divide
did-
148 by-
You did factor the 2.8 into that. Okay. Okay.
Materials and supplies is sand and salt. And plus, but that's the lion's share of it.
Any projections? You haven't had much time to really look at that this year.
No, but we approved the same levels that we did the prior year.
Right.
We
There's
know-
no way knowing.
So it's gonna be the same.
There's no way knowing.
Right.
The salt is
For
pink.
this year, it's gonna be the same.
The salt is pink in color.
It was also a little bit more expensive, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Actually, no, I
Just
think it was.
slightly, I thought.
Yeah, well, maybe just a little bit. We
Yeah.
had paid 78 at one point, and it's come down to the 70, 72, 75, whatever it is.
Whatever it was.
It's a little different color.
This year's budget was 100. You want to leave it at 100?
Leave it at 100.
Road signs, it was 1,000 in this year's.
So I put down 500 for road signs,
Okay. Have you got specific ones or just general?
just to have money in the account.
Okay.
I think we're in good shape, but to have money in the account.
And then hired service, which would be your flaggers and or your contracted services for trees that you guys can't take down.
10,000.
Okay. Well, that goes it's a far cry from zero.
Well, look at last year, last year's budget was 70.
It is.
Yeah.
Last year's budget was 75, spent 15, I mean, it's always been heavy.
No, I was talking about the total, the zero
No.
bottom line.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then moving on to the retreatment, any plan?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. Crack sealant?
There's a little money left in reserve on retreatment.
Yeah, there would be.
How much is there?
I'll have to look, maybe 5 figures.
So-
If it is, it's a light 5 figures.
We're just a library parking lot full.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a good question. Or it's gonna fall under,
Is it gonna fall?
It's gonna fall under retreatment. It is, it's not a road technically, but it's a town parking lot.
So how much do we have left over in the account?
I'll go look at it in, I've probably got it here somewhere. See if I can find it here, let's see if I'm looking it up. I got a comparative, I got a comparative. I don't want a comparative, I want drawbacks. Balance sheet, current. The general fund. General fund, highway fund. Yeah, I'll take it back. Here it's 0.
Thank you. All right, and I need to put in 25,000.
25,000, is that what your estimate is on that?
It's at 23, so we'll put in 25.
Fog line has been 2,700 forever, and it's still 61 in special things.
Really?
Special projects. But we need to vet that one out and see where we are with that.
Yep.
And see if everything's shifted the way it's supposed to be. Well, we've used up the retreatment, we've used up the gravel crushing partly because it's kind of already out. We used up the reserve account before we used up the actual budgeted money, so there's still money left in gravel crushing, but they're not done. So we'll see where we end up with that.
Okay, so crack sealant and retreatment to reserve, that wouldn't be in. So 25 would be just basically for the library, retreatment. Okay, so gravel crushing, there's still 35 in the, evidently from this year, I don't know what.
Well, we paid out 2 invoices, correct? 14,000, 12,000, somewhere in that
That
range.
sounds right.
Where are we? I'm sorry.
Gravel
Gravel crushing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we did. We paid out, budget status, we've paid out 26,000. We budgeted 35,000. So there's still another 11.
So I saw Mr. Fitzpatrick
Yep.
at the store Christmas morning.
Yep.
He is coming back to finish out
Okay,
the purchase order that he was given.
Okay.
So we will have that.
okay.
But with the amount of culverts and road repairs that we have to do this summer, I
Right.
need to
Okay,
keep
so you're not gonna
resupplying.
have, right, at the end of this year, June 30th, you're not gonna have anything in reserve, so you need to budget new money if you want. So
Right.
if you're gonna want
Another
35.
35.
Okay. Let's go back to retreatment. You said 25 for retreatment?
25 for
Okay,
retreatment.
okay. And then how much for gravel?
35.
Okay.
Yeah, but I thought, or did that 25 not get applied to reserve?
It did last year at the end of the year.
It's showing on the form as it was. It's showing that FY 18, 25,000 applied to
Budgeted.
reserve. Wasn't spent, which meant there should have been a total of 70,000 in there.
Okay, I need to see where you are. The budget for 2018 was 25, the actual for 2018 was 0. That money at the end of the year, we didn't quite get over to where it was supposed to be, we still have it as part of the surplus. We budgeted 35 for this year, which would have given us 60 altogether. And I think the Fitzpatrick contract was not to exceed 60 on that.
Right, but what did you say we've currently spent?
We currently spent 26.
So we've got another 25 sitting there, if we had a total of 60. Is that not correct? Or am I just not,
If the numbers are correct.
Numbers are correct.
if that 25 was left in surplus and it's listed in the line as applied gravel crushed to reserve, that would be 25,000 from 18, another 35 from this year, for a total of 60,000.
Yeah, and if we spent
Only 26.
26, we should have,
And we're gonna have to look
Yeah.
into that. We're gonna have to look into it.
All right, so it's either 0 or 35,000.
So I tell you, go.
can we just do that for all of them?
Okay, so here we are, back to the fog line reserves and all that other stuff. Those were all zeros.
No.
Irene isn't.
Put that with your note of things.
That we should
Your
be-
note of things to do. Let's just put that with your note of things to do. And I'm gonna get this. So we can get this taken care of as well.
Okay. Okay,
So yeah, we're gonna look at, we'll look at that one. We've got a mark on it. And you have a note. We'll look at it tomorrow.
we're far enough out now with Irene to be able to.
Oh, those can be, yeah, those have
Those can
already
be
kind of
taken
been
out?
erased. They should be erased altogether off the sheet.
Okay, and then we had the reserves for the all special projects, which was the bridge, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the actual spent was 70, and we took that out of money that we had, I believe, and I'm gonna have to verify this too, that there's still over 60 left in there. Because much of that money came back by way of a grant, and we didn't spend all that we had. We budgeted more than we needed to budget, and not more than we needed to budget, we had a good chunk in there. The bridge came in at less than we thought it was going to.
So technically, we've got to start on 41.
41.
We have to start on 41. If
No,
we
we
get the
have a
grant.
start on 21. We have money set aside
41.
for 41.
Right, we have some money set aside for 41, not enough to pay for it. We have some money set aside for 41. But if we're looking at an 80-20 split on the grant, we may have enough for that. But anyway, we have to check on the grant for the engineering. We've got to get the engineering done first, and that's hopefully this year.
Okay, then moving on to ancillary highway expense, liability, I take it that's a.
I put it in at 45 because that seems to be where it was. I guessed at uniforms brought it up about a third, or a quarter rather, just because.
Yeah. For the extra.
That seemed where it is. It's gonna take a month or so to level out. The price seems to be okay so far. Although I know they haven't delivered everything quite yet. And we certainly have no pattern on the billing yet. CDL expense, I don't know what that is. It is there or it isn't. We've never budgeted anything for it, but it is a line item. Miscellaneous.
We talked about covering Steve's CDL, is that where that would go?
But that wouldn't have been a new line, it wouldn't have been in here yet. This is something.
Right, no,
from the
but I'm
beginning.
just curious if that's where that would go.
Probably.
Okay.
And then the computer highway is where one of those two lines I'm having her take out because we've got it under the general fund and we've got it under highway fund here as one
Right.
computer. So one was budgeted, one wasn't. Expenses go to one or the other depending, and we're gonna consolidate that into one account. So I think that's why I left that 0, we put it in on the other one.
Anything else in the functional aspect of the highway, Steve? No? All right, then moving on to the equipment side.
Back one step under employer expenses, I just did a quick tally on those. We'll figure out the full insurance on the dental and IMED. I didn't get those in there, obviously. Workman's comp, we're gonna have to look up and plug in. Retirement, I guessed at, but we'll get a better number for that. Unemployment, I need a number 4. Miscellaneous employer's expense was the boots, and brought that up a quarter, so. Okay.
Okay,
Can you just tell me quickly, Craig, what happened to the health insurance for the highway? Or that from
People started taking it.
Well,
FY
yeah,
13 or budget?
it was one person, it was one person taking it, now 4 people taking it.
Okay, thank you.
right, then the equipment fund, about the middle of the page, direct equipment expenses. First one is the backhoe.
3,000.
Okay. The international, number 3.
4,000.
Okay, are we spilling out anything for like outside repairs or things like that, or just straight?
Is combined.
Just, oh, combined, okay. The Sterling's gone.
Yep. Well, that's right, put the garbage truck.
That's good. Perfect.
Nice.
Sterling, actually,
It is a
Sterling. Actually, the Sterling shouldn't be showing up there, but it is obviously.
Okay, so the 2011, the international,
2011.
6,000.
the Freightliner,
6,000.
The Ford is being retired, will be gone.
I
The Dodge,
already
that's
plugged the Dodge in that line.
We'll put the Dodge in that line, maybe a different number, but what do you want for the Dodge for?
1,000.
It's gonna cost you something to paint it, put radios in it and all of that, even though you're gonna take the radios out of the.
I do the radios.
Okay.
they normally are lettered on the doors, so.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's only, do you know what that is, Joe, to have staffs put the name on the doors of a truck? Couple $100, $300?
Yeah, he was, last time he done one, it was under 200.
Okay. I mean, I'd say, you're gonna have little, you're gonna change the oil after a month and whatever, I'd say like 1,500 anyway, I mean, just, and if you've got $500 surplus, isn't gonna make a difference. But, I mean, it's up to you, whatever you wanna do.
Does it have to be red?
Just have to look.
Does the truck have to be red?
I don't know why it has to be red.
Okay, so we're not painting it. Put
No,
the
I
name
just
on
meant
it?
the name on the door.
Okay, that's what he meant.
Town sounds, just the.
Yeah. And diesel exhaust fluid and a service or 2,
Yep.
$1,000.
$1,000, okay.
Good.
That'll change over to whatever the new truck is. The rake,
York rake, chainsaws, $1,000. We're gonna be adding a chainsaw because we want one in each truck. We do not have that today.
okay. The new Kubota,
500.
okay. The loader,
500.
okay. The grader,
5,000.
the load, 524 loader.
That's a
fine.
zero.
Yeah.
That's the old one,
Oh,
right?
that's
It's
right.
there because it's in a holding pattern.
Okay, so all equipment,
Budgeted 2, spent 8, that's your catch-all for everything, I can get you a breakout on
So
that.
you know where we are year to date.
I don't have,
Yeah, I might, hold on a second.
So that's a catch-all account.
it pretty much is. Things like all your fluids, all your,
You're in good shape right now, 866 out of a $2,000 bill, so I got roughly $900. You can have this,
Okay.
I get you a new one here, end of the month.
but you had 8,500 the year before.
Okay.
So the way it's charged out today, we're saying that of that $8,590 in 2018, that's 55-gallon drums of oil and hydraulic.
A lot of it was.
Okay, which in my buy equipment is the oil change, which includes the oil. So unless we come up with a way of how we charge each account for an oil change, and if we receive it in one account and then charge it to another account so it balances out.
That's bookkeeping, that becomes
I
a
know.
bookkeeping nightmare, yeah.
Well, I mean, it can be done, but again, it depends on how much you want to micromanage it, and some of that can be done off book. I mean, it can be done in your own little notebooks
Yeah.
up there where you keep a book in the truck.
All I'm saying is we're charging the oil to the parts and
Right.
supply account, but
Which is
I've
where
already
that-
put it in the truck account.
Right, which is where it belongs, so, okay, yep.
So filters,
It's flat.
So now I'm just looking at filters. So you don't have the year-to-date number.
I just gave you the budget
Should
status
take out
report
the
on the
oil.
all equipment.
So put 2,500 in that account.
Yeah, okay. That's the all equipment account, 20.
okay, we don't separate winter and
We don't
summer
separate
anymore.
winter out, no.
So the diesel in 18 was way out of line.
Now, that's because we made it low purposely because it was over inflated from previous years. So I don't know if we're close to balancing out yet.
You have a status report there that I just gave you.
No, in the white.
This one?
Yeah.
That's as of November, end of November.
So we're at 43%
Yeah, this is
for
fine.
5 months,
Yeah, that's all right.
so.
But you're into your heavier part of the year right now, but it depends, you're not using the grader as much right now as you
So you've
would.
got,
The grader's been out 4 times in the last 2 weeks, so.
so you had 20, we had 22,000 budget, you've used 11 roughly?
Yes,
So what is
We
it?
should just leave it at 22?
Maybe,
The fuel's at least going down a little.
fuel's going down a little bit,
I mean, I think 22, we don't know what the winter's gonna do to us yet.
so we'll do 25.
Okay. And the unleaded gas would be that'd be your chainsaws, that'd be your,
That's not gonna be over $1.25 of them.
The Kubota?
Keep it,
No.
the Kubota's diesel,
oh, that's
so
right.
we'll keep it at 125.
Insurance?
I would say 8,500.
Yeah, probably
just
85 on
because,
the insurance,
you know.
particularly with a new vehicle in the mix. Okay, so other equipment. Equipment purchase, this would be your chainsaws and your other stuff, your shovels, your,
I want to buy a backpack blower for the person who's mowing, so we can clean the sidewalks. We can clean some intersections. So let's go to 2,000 on that.
and greater fund to reserve, this is where we put 50,000 last year.
I mean, I'm all for keeping that rolling so that when we need the grader, we can buy it cash like we did the loader.
It's gonna be a $350,000 purchase, you're gonna not wanna do it all at once.
Right, exactly.
And I think from the bond bank, you can, the equipment loan fund, I think you can only borrow like 175. You have to,
Right. Yeah.
you can borrow up to 70% of what you're up to. Their limit is like 175.
175.
So you don't
Yeah.
wanna finance, you don't wanna have more than, 250 that you need to come up with in a given year.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So you need.
Yeah, so 50 last year, 50 this year.
I'd say if you have 150 or 200 assigned, you'll be able to buy a grader and then still pay it off over 5 years by borrowing pretty heavily
Yeah.
for the remainder.
Steve, what are your thoughts on keeping that thing going?
I have feedback from former employees and from the new employee who's been operating it. It can make it a few more years if it's maintained, which it will be. So I'm not concerned that we're gonna lose a grader in the next year or two,
Okay.
with what I know today.
Alright. So if we keep on at 50,000 a year,
Well, last year was a special article, we put it in here, I think.
No, it was in the budget, it wasn't an
Was it?
article.
It was an
wasn't.
article.
It
No.
wasn't in our article, right?
no, it was just in the budget.
Yeah.
It got discussed.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about it.
Yeah, somebody asked about it.
Yep. Andy Snelling had questions about it.
Yep.
Because that brings up the whole discussion of, you're taking tax money and you're sitting on it,
Yep.
when the town can essentially borrow money at a lesser rate than an individual can.
But you can only borrow so much in anticipation of taxes before you begin to get into that proportional.
Right.
We may not make it, you don't want to default with the bank on that.
Right.
And the bond bank won't carry you that far. This is a big piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So what's your
And
pleasure?
I'm gonna ask for an article for a new big truck.
That's fine, but you're not too far out on other things as well. 5 years out on, well, whatever, anyway, not to go down that road. Yeah, looking at the cost of the Freightliner and the 2011 International, we're getting up toward time.
So
Right, yeah, it's starting to get toward the diminishing returns.
But the backhoe's gonna have issues. I mean, it's just,
It's the nature of the game.
it's the nature of the game.
So my first two quotes that are in on a cabin chassis and all of the HP Fairfield hardware is 140 grand for a truck, fully outfitted.
So what would you like to do with the 50?
Well, I'm putting 50 in. We'll see how this looks when it's all printed out.
So I haven't put the pencil to it yet. I would like to be able to come to the board and say 350,000 for a new grader, or we could lease one for this and weigh it out, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
And if we did a lease, a 3-year lease on a
a lot of towns are doing that now, aren't they?
I mean, I need to show you those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious to see that.
Which in that particular case, you wouldn't need to continue to put the 50,000
Right.
into reserve. You can
Right.
start putting it into frontline trucks
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
that you're running every day. So,
right.
Yeah.
you know, it becomes a matter of where is that 50,000 most
That's
needed.
used, yeah.
But 5 out of 6 miles of road that you have is dirt road. Needs that attention, greater attention as well. And a grader can be useful in the wintertime, as you're finding out, for a host of reasons.
Well, but that's what he's saying.
Right.
He can find
Yeah.
out what it would cost
Yep.
to lease versus actually buy.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to put 50 in there to hold, knowing that we
Oh, we can always take it out.
we
We'll see what it does to the bottom line.
manipulate, if we do have
I
an
come
hour
back to
for
you for the
trouble.
next meeting with more information on the lease versus a purchase.
Okay, so let's put it in for the time being. Okay, so tank expense. I'm not sure what that is.
That's
So-
it's magnesium chloride sprayer tank.
I had a
You
visitor.
be careful.
I had a visitor come to the garage today. He is our sales rep of Innovative Solutions, who we purchased the magnesium chloride from. What he shared with me today was, and this has always been available to Townsend, is because of our volume, built in the price that we pay, is a brand new machine that comes to us free of charge for a 3-year period, maintained by them, and after 3 years, we own it. It comes metered, and it comes with a chart for what position to put it on versus vehicle speed, so the correct application rate is applied. So I did not know this was available to us.
Nobody knew this was
We
available.
will be getting more information on it, and I will share that when I get it.
Okay, so for now, we'll just not put anything in there and you'll get back to us, okay?
But the only way they can afford to do that is because of the volume we buy.
And
So, I mean,
we're already paying for it, it's in the
Yeah,
cost.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
But the spraying unit that we have right now, that whole pump arrangement, it's seen better days, as you know. It's got its issues.
So gravel pit expense, there's nothing in
No.
there. Rented equipment. machine that-
Roadside mowing this year, if we're doing that.
Well, no, I thought that was,
Are we gonna contract that out? That's where you
We,
put the.
we've
that's
thrown the
where-
whole thing off by
That's where you
one
put
year
the
that got
10,000.
skipped. And
That's where you put 10,000 for renting a mower.
Yeah.
Or buying hand size.
a lot of workbooks to step it down.
Big weed whacker.
This would be the year to do to run a machine. But the question becomes, is that something that the highway seems to be focusing this year on, the
Culverts and
culverts and the
drainage.
ditches?
Yeah.
Is this something that we would like to have them focus on the ditches and the culverts and have somebody else do the roadside mowing?
You also don't have 3 months of vacation time. You're paying for.
That's true.
Mm.
I mean, you're gonna have most of the full crew most of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever that means.
We have one individual who does roadside mowing experience. He has the experience. He's willing to do it. We've already had discussions on that. I think we could save a lot of money by renting the machine And I think our experience in renting the machine will be a positive one.
Do you remember how much it was to rent it?
It's gonna run about 10,000 for the month, and I don't know that we actually need it for a month. I mean, that was based on everybody getting,
Little seat time.
well, a little seat time. Yeah, I mean, and, you know, they did a pretty, but they were doing it by route, you know, and that's not necessarily the best way to do it.
Right.
Some routes are longer than others and more difficult. If you got one person principally mowing, I think they can
Do it-
chomp it out
Say 10.
in more expedient time. Yeah, and do it a little more
To tend to
practically.
do a rental?
Yes.
I believe that has to be done fairly soon.
Well, you'd want to book the machine as soon as possible, and Fairfield is one, North Tracks is another, John Deere's another.
Yep.
We've used both.
Let's see, so the principal payments on equipment, do we have, what do we have left on the equipment?
We have one more payment to make, and I'd say that's probably about 8,000, should just about do it.
For 20? We have one more to make?
I think we're done in June, actually. I'm gonna
If
have
we're
to
done,
look
if we're
at.
done in June, then we don't need to put
I
money
know,
in
I'm
it.
gonna have to take a look at that. I haven't gotten that far. I didn't get into the equipment line, but we're getting pretty close on that 2015. It was a 3-year
So we
pay down, I
don't-
believe,
We don't have
but I
any,
gotta check.
we don't have any interest then on the financing if it's not
If it's
paid
over.
off.
I'm gonna have to look that up and find out where we are with that.
And the liquid chloride machine, evidently, we can leave it zero until we get additional information.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's find out whether or not we have any outstanding ones.
Okay. Good work, guys, we'll go in some numbers.
Okay. So if there's nothing else on the budget that you'd like to discuss, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:40.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned, thank you.